Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we'll be discussing about another amazing concept inside Python called Lambda function. As of now, we have learned about functions. We've seen like how we can create a functions and all. You can ask me then what is Lambda functions? Lambda is also functions. It's a one-line function. We also call it as a anonymous function inside Python. So it's completely practical actually understanding. So what I will do, I'll just go to my code editor and I'll show you this particular Lambda function. So guys, you can see Lambda function is nothing but a Lambda function is a small anonymous function inside Python. A Lambda function can take any input of arguments, but can only have one expression. Okay. So here you can see I have kept one example. So your Lambda function looks like that. So if you want to define a Lambda function, first of all, you have to use one keyword, Lambda keyword, okay, called Lambda. Now here you have to take actually parameter. Okay, you can take 2 parameter, 3 parameter, 4 parameter, and so on. It's up to you. So we call it as a parameter. So here parameter actually they have taken a comma b. Okay, that means 2 parameter. You can see. Then you have to define a colon. Okay, you have to define a colon here. You can see this colon. So this colon is for the expression. That means whatever things you will be writing after this particular colon, this should be your expression. Now see here is one expression a plus b. That means whatever input actually it is receiving from the user, let's say a, b, it is just doing the addition operation. This is called expression. Okay, must be a single valid Python expression. So you can only use one expression here. Okay, not multiple expression. You can't use actually a plus b comma a minus b. It's not possible. You need to only use one expression. Okay, if you're using Lambda function. But if you want to perform multiple expression, that time you can use normal Python function. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now you can ask me why this particular Lambda function is required. I'll tell you, just give me some time. I'll tell you. We'll be using this in the higher order function. I'll tell you what are the higher order functions are available. Fine. But before that, let me show you some example of the Lambda function. Like let's create some Lambda function and let's solve some expression. Okay, with the help of that. So let's say I want to create a function which will return the square of a, let's say, number. So for this, I can use this particular Lambda function. So I'll just write Lambda. Okay, Lambda is a keyword. Now here you can see I have to give the input. That means the parameter. Okay. Now I told you this particular function will do the square operation of a number. So only one input I need to give. Let's say the number is x. Okay. Now I have to give this particular colon because after the colon I'll be writing the expression. Okay. So what is the expression? Expression is nothing but x power of 2. Okay. That means it will do the power operation. Fine. I hope you got it. Now if I execute the program, see what will happen. If I execute the program, see it will give you one function object. Okay, it will give you one function object and the function object is nothing but it's a Lambda function object. So Lambda doesn't return anything. Always try to remember Lambda doesn't return anything. Instead, it returns the function itself. Okay, it returns the function itself. But previously, whenever I was using the like simple function, it used to return something. Okay, it used to return something. I think we remember there. Now, what I need to do, I can store in a variable. Let's say I can store in a, let's say, variable called a. Now, if I print the a, you will see that I'm getting a function again. Now, what I can do, I can use this particular object to give my input. Okay, so how I can give the input? I'll give the parenthesis and inside that I'll give this particular input, which is nothing but x. Okay, now let's say x is equal to, I'll give 4. Now, if I execute the program, it will return me 16. Okay, so it is the Lambda function expression. Now see, I solved this particular question. Only just one line of code. Okay, only just one line of function, which is nothing but Lambda function. Previously, I also showed you this particular code, how we can create this function with the help of normal function. So they're actually used to write multiple line of code, right? But now with the help of one line of code, one line of function, you can create this particular, let's say, statement. Okay, this is the power of Lambda function. Let's do another problem. So what I will do, I'll copy this particular function as it is. Now, I will receive actually two numbers. Let's say x and y. And I'll just do the addition operation. Okay, x plus y. Now see, if you only pass one number, it will throw you error. Okay, it will throw you error. It will tell you Lambda function missing one required positional argument y. So you also need to give the y input. So let's say y is equal to 6. Now if I execute the program, it will return me 10. That's how actually you can create a Lambda function. And here is the expression I have given you. Okay, how to create it and all. Now let's try to see the difference between Lambda function and normal function. You can see here are some main difference actually I kept. So Lambda function has no name. You can see there is no name of this particular Lambda function. Okay, you don't need to define any kinds of name if you're using Lambda function, but if you're using normal function, there you have to define a name. Okay, I think remember Lambda has no return value. I told you it doesn't return any kinds of value. Instead, it will return the function itself. Okay, it will return the function itself. Lambda is written in one line. You can see we have written this particular function in just only one line and not reusable. Okay, that means you can't reuse this particular function. It's not possible. But you can reuse the Python normal function. Then why use Lambda function? Okay, you can ask me why to use this particular Lambda function, because there would be some situation you will be working with higher order function. Okay, higher order function in your project. What is higher order function? I'll tell you. Higher order function means, see, you can also call it as HOF, that means higher order function. So with the help of higher order function, you can use this particular Lambda function. Okay, before showing you this higher order function, let me show you some more example you can solve with the help of Lambda function. So here is one example, guys. You can see here you have to check a string has a character or not. Okay, now you can see I have written a Lambda function. So user is giving a string and I'm checking a in s. That means I'm using the membership operator. So if a is there inside this particular string, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. If it executes, it will return false because a is not there inside hello. Now if I give e, it is present, it will give me true. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now there is another problem you can see, guys, odd and even number. I think we have also written this particular code with the help of normal function, and you can see now I have written this code with the help of only one line of code with the help of Lambda function. So here I just need to check whether a number is a odd and even number. So here user will give one number. Okay, one number, one input, that means one parameter. And here I'm checking if this particular number is divisible by 2 and remainder is equal to 0. So it's an odd number. I mean, the way you actually used to write the list comprehension. Okay, remember? So that's how you have to write it here as well. Otherwise, it's a odd number. That means if it is divisible, that means it's an even number. Otherwise, it's an odd number. Okay. Now here I'm giving the input as a 6. Now 6 is an even number, so it will give you even. Now if I give 7 here, it's a odd number. It will give you odd. I hope this is clear. Okay, how to use this particular Lambda expression. Now let's try to see this particular higher order function. Here I told you. So here I already told you Lambda can be used with the help of higher order function. Okay, so let me show you some higher order function example. Let's say you are having one list of number. So let me just take a list, and here I will have some number. Let's say 1, 2. Let's say I'm having some list of the number. Now what I want to do, I want to perform square operation. Okay, on top of all the items here. Now for this, I'm going to create a function. Let's say function name is square. So it will take one input, one parameter called x, and whatever actually x is receiving, it will do the square operation. Fine. So this is my function, and to pass this particular list in this particular, let's say, square function, I will create another function here, and I'm going to name it as transform. Okay, transform. So this function will actually receive one function. Now see, the function actually I'm going to create this particular transform. So this is going to be a higher order function. This is going to be a higher order function. Now, how you can identify whether this particular function is a higher order function or not? See, if any function takes input another function, this is called actually higher order function. Or else, if any function returns any kinds of function object, okay, that means it returns any kinds of function, again it's an higher order function. I think I showed you, right? We can also take as an argument. Okay, we can take a function as an argument in another function. I think I showed you, right? Whenever I was talking this particular functions is a first class citizens. Okay, this particular video I was discussing this part. I think you remember. Even we can also return a function inside a function. It is possible, right? So whenever you see these kinds of condition, if any function takes input any kinds of function, it's an higher order function. Or whenever it is returning any kinds of function, okay, it is also a higher order function. So here this transform function I will be creating as a higher order function. That means this particular function will take an input, and which is nothing but a function. Okay, so it will take an input which is nothing but a function. I'll just name it as f, and it will also take this particular input as l. That means this particular list. I hope it is clear, right? And why I've given the pass, because if I now execute the program, it will work fine, okay, without any error. But if you're not using this pass, it will throw you error, okay, incomplete syntax. I think I showed you this particular pass statement. I think you remember. Got it? Yeah. Now, simply inside transform, what I will do, I'll just write a logic. So first of all, I'll take a empty list here. So output is equal to, it would be an empty list. And I'll just write a for loop here. So for I in L, that means I'm iterating on top of this particular list. And whatever value actually I'll be getting, I'll just do the output dot append. Okay, output dot append, and I will pass this particular value in. I will pass this particular item inside this particular function. Okay, that means I. So what will happen? Whatever value actually I'm iterating, okay, from this particular list, let's say one will go inside this particular function. Let's say inside this particular square function, it will perform the square operation and it will append inside this particular empty list. Again, two will go inside this particular square function. It will do the square operation and it will append inside this particular output. That's how I need to perform for all the value. Okay, so once it is done, so I'll just simply print the output. Fine. Now if I execute the program, it will work fine. Now what I will do, I'll call this particular transform, and this particular transform will take two input. One is the function. You can see function will take the input, and another input actually it will take the list. Okay, the list actually I have defined here. Now if I execute the program, see, it will return also one list. You can see it is also returning. That means it is printing this particular empty list, and which is nothing but the square of all the number I have given. Okay, you can see 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, and so on. I hope this is clear. So this is an higher order function we have defined here. Oh, sorry, it should be HOF. Okay, higher order function. Now you can ask me, okay, sir, I got it. I can use the higher order function and I can perform these kinds of operation. But here, why I'm using this particular lambda function? Let me tell you. See, now let's say you want to perform, let's say something called a cube operation. Okay, you want to, let's say, perform something called cube operation. That means whatever number actually you are receiving, you want to perform cube operation instead of square operation. So for this, what you have to do, again, you have to define a function called cube. It will take this particular like number as an input and will return the cube. Okay, that means you are performing cube operation on top of it. Now instead of this square, what you have to pass? You have to pass the cube here. Okay, now you have to also pass this particular L, and now if I execute, it will return me the cube. Now let's say in future you want to add some other operation. Let's say you want to check the area. Okay, you want to check the area, or let's say you want to multiply, you want to subtract, you want to add. For this, you have to create different function. Okay, different function. So again, it's a hectic task. We have to create different function and we have to write tons of code. But we can actually handle this particular situation with the help of lambda function. Let me show you. So here, instead of using this particular function, what I can use lambda function. So I'll just simply write lambda. Okay, lambda. It will take an input called x, and the expression it will perform. Let's say I want to perform the square operation. I'll just do the square operation. Okay, that's it. Okay, you have created this particular function and you are giving this particular list as well. Now if I execute the program, see, it will return you the same thing. Now let's say in future you want to perform cube operation, only give the cube operation. See, it will return you the cube. Now let's say you want to perform this operation, it will return you this operation as well. So here I don't need to create different function for this. I can use a lambda function, okay, and I can do this particular statement in very easily. Okay, because it's a higher order function. It takes a function as an input, and lambda is a function. That's why I can pass this particular function here. It's possible, right? It's possible, and it's nothing but it's a function object. So that's why I'm giving the value inside this particular function, and it is appending inside this particular list itself. I hope you got it. Okay, so that's why we use this particular lambda function. Okay, with the higher order function. Okay, with the higher order function. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now inside Python, we are having some higher order function, like we are having something called map, reduce, and filter. Okay, so these three actually higher order function will be learning. And trust me, whenever you will be working with data science domain, this particular like higher order function will help you a lot. This map, reduce, and filter. So in the next video, we'll try to understand these are the higher order function inside Python, how we can use them, and what is the advantage to use that particular higher order function. Got it? So with that, thank you so much for watching this particular video, and I will see you next time.